Let me tell you about a 68-year-old. She was sharp, funny, the kind of woman who remembered every birthday in the family without checking her phone. Then, one afternoon, she called her daughter by the wrong name. Not a slip, not tiredness. She called her by her sister's name, her sister who had passed away 9 years earlier. Her daughter laughed it off. Seniors mix up names sometimes, right? 6 months later, her mother could no longer remember how to get home from the grocery store she had been visiting for 22 years. Here is what that family did not know. The signs were there, long before that afternoon, long before the names got confused and the roads stopped making sense. They were quiet signs, easy to explain away, easy to laugh off, easy to miss. And that is exactly what makes them so dangerous. Because here is the truth that most doctors do not take the time to sit down and explain to you. Brain aging, real brain aging, does not announce itself. It does not arrive with a warning label. It does not wait until you are 80. It begins quietly, in your 60s, sometimes in your late 50s. And by the time most people notice something is wrong, the process has already been underway for years. Today, I am going to show you 5 specific warning signs that your brain is aging faster than it should. Not the obvious ones, not the ones everyone already talks about, the quiet ones, the ones hiding in plain sight, the ones that millions of seniors are experiencing right now and writing off as just getting older. Stay with me through all 5 because number 3 is the one that stopped my patients in their tracks when they first heard it. And number 5 is the sign that almost nobody connects to brain health until it is far too late. My name is Dr. Angela Whitfield, and this channel exists for one reason: to give adults over 60 the honest, evidence-based information about brain health that the system rarely has time to give you in a routine appointment. I have spent years working with older adults who refuse to accept cognitive decline as something they simply have to live with. And what I have seen again and again is that the people who catch these signs early are the ones who keep their independence, their sharpness, and their quality of life far longer than those who do not. Before we begin, everything I share here is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If anything in this video sounds familiar, please speak to your doctor. And before we get into the 5 signs, drop your city or your country in the comments right now. I want to know who is watching this today. I read every single one, and I genuinely mean that. Before I walk you through the 5 warning signs, I need to give you one concept, because without it, nothing I am about to say will fully make sense. I call it the brain clock. Here is what the brain clock means. Every brain ages. That is normal. That is biology. But not every brain ages at the same speed. And what the research now shows us, clearly and consistently, is that certain habits, certain conditions, and certain silent processes can make your brain age 5, 10, even 15 years faster than your actual age. That means a 65-year-old can have the brain of an 80-year-old, and a 75-year-old can have the brain of a 60-year-old. The difference is not luck. The difference is information. 3 things happen when the brain clock runs too fast. First, the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for forming and storing new memories, begins to shrink faster than it should. And once that tissue is gone, it does not come back easily. Second, the connections between brain cells, what scientists call synaptic pathways, begin to weaken. Communication inside your brain slows down, and you feel it as brain fog, slow thinking, and that frustrating moment when a word is right on the tip of your tongue but you cannot reach it. Third, chronic low-grade inflammation in the brain, what researchers now call neuroinflammation, silently damages cells over years before a single symptom appears. Keep the brain clock in your mind as we go through each warning sign. It changes everything about how you understand what you are about to hear. Warning sign number 1. You are forgetting recent things but remembering old things perfectly. Most people think memory loss means forgetting everything. That is not how it starts. Here is what actually happens. You remember your wedding day in perfect detail. You remember songs from 40 years ago. You remember the street you grew up on, the name of your third-grade teacher, the smell of your grandmother's kitchen, but you cannot remember what you had for breakfast. You cannot remember the name of the person you met last Tuesday. You cannot remember whether you took your medication this morning. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 71 years old, a retired nurse from outside of Pittsburgh. She could quote medical procedures she had learned in nursing school 40 years ago without hesitation, but she kept forgetting conversations she had with her husband the previous evening. He would mention something they had discussed at dinner. She had no memory of it at all. Margaret assumed it was stress. She had been under pressure with her grandchildren's schedules and the house. It was not stress. Here is what the science tells us. The hippocampus processes recent memories first, new information, recent conversations, things that just happened. When the brain clock runs fast, the hippocampus is one of the first areas to show damage, and the result is exactly what Margaret was experiencing. Recent memories dissolve, while old memories stay crystal clear because they are stored in a different, more resilient part of the brain. A 2022 study published in the journal Neurology found that difficulty encoding new memories, recent conversations, recent events, recent faces was one of the earliest detectable markers of accelerated cognitive aging, often appearing 7 to 10 years before a formal diagnosis. 7 to 10 years. That means if you are experiencing this right now, your brain is sending you a signal, and that signal deserves your attention. What to do? Start what researchers call a memory anchor practice. Every evening, write down 3 specific things that happened that day: a conversation, a meal, something you watched. Do this for 30 days. If you consistently cannot recall what to write, if the day is genuinely blank, speak to your doctor. This is not about being forgetful. This is about tracking a pattern. That was number 1. Number 2 is one that most people dismiss as a vocabulary problem. It is not. Warning sign number 2. Words are disappearing. You are in the middle of a sentence. You know exactly what you want to say. The word is right there. You can almost touch it, and then it is gone. You say things like, that thing, that person. What is it called? Your family smiles. They fill in the word for you. Everyone laughs. Do not laugh it off. Let me tell you about Gerald. Gerald was 73, a retired engineer from Tucson, Arizona. Sharp man, precise thinker. He started noticing that in conversations, especially with new people, he would lose words mid-sentence. Not complex words, simple ones. The name of a common tool, the word for a piece of furniture. He began avoiding certain social situations because he was embarrassed. Gerald told himself it was just aging, that everyone his age experienced this. Not everyone does, not like this. The scientific term is anomia, difficulty retrieving words on demand. Research published in the journal Brain and Language found that progressive word retrieval difficulty in adults over 65 is one of the most consistent early indicators of accelerated synaptic breakdown in the language and memory networks of the brain. Your brain stores words in a network of connected pathways between meaning, sound, and memory. When those connections weaken, the word does not disappear. It becomes harder to reach, like a file that is still in the cabinet, but the drawer is stuck. What to do? Engage in daily verbal retrieval practice. Do not always accept help when you lose a word. Sit with the discomfort for 30 seconds and try to retrieve it yourself. This is not stubbornness, it is brain exercise. Neural pathways strengthened through use and weakened through avoidance. Name objects out loud during your daily routine. Read aloud for 10 minutes a day. These are not cures, but the research consistently shows they slow the rate of retrieval decline. If you are still with me, type the number 2 in the comments right now. It tells me you are here and getting real value from this. And stay with me because what is coming next is the warning sign that surprised my patients the most. Warning sign number 3. You are getting confused in familiar places. Not lost in a new city or an unfamiliar building, confused somewhere you have been 100 times. You take a wrong turn on a route you have driven for 15 years. You walk into a room in your own house and feel, just for a moment, genuinely disoriented. You are in a store you visit every week, and you cannot remember which aisle the thing you need is on. These moments pass quickly. You shake it off. You tell yourself you were distracted. But they are happening more often than they used to. Let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy was 69, a retired teacher from a small town in Ohio. She had driven the same route to her church every Sunday for 31 years. One morning, she missed the turn. She knew she had missed it. She circled the block twice, genuinely uncertain which direction to go. She made it to church, but she sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes before she felt calm enough to go inside. Dorothy told no one for 4 months. This is called spatial disorientation, and it is one of the least discussed but most significant early warning signs of accelerated brain aging. The area of the brain responsible for spatial navigation, the entorhinal cortex, is one of the first regions affected by the early changes associated with cognitive decline. A landmark study from University College London found that subtle spatial navigation difficulties preceded clinical symptoms of cognitive decline by up to 6 years in the participants studied. 6 years of warning. 6 years during which intervention is still highly meaningful. What to do? Pay attention to these moments and do not dismiss them. Keep a simple log. Write down when they happen, where you were, how long the disorientation lasted. If they are increasing in frequency over a 90-day period, not staying the same, not occasional, but genuinely increasing, bring that log to your doctor. That log is evidence. It is specific. It is far more useful than saying, I have been feeling a little confused sometimes. That was number 3. Number 4 is the one that almost never gets connected to brain health, and it should. Warning sign number 4. Your personality has shifted and the people closest to you have noticed. This one is harder to talk about. You are more irritable than you used to be. Small things bother you more. Your patience is shorter. You find yourself withdrawing from social situations you used to enjoy. Or the opposite. You say things in public that the old version of you would have kept private. Your family notices. They do not always say anything, but you can tell. And the explanation everyone reaches for is, well, that is just age. People get set in their ways. That is not what this is. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert was 72. A retired bank manager from Charlotte, North Carolina. By every external measure, his life was good. But his wife had quietly told their adult children that he had become a different person over the past 2 years. More suspicious, easily angered, less interested in the grandchildren he used to adore. He had stopped attending the monthly dinners with friends he had known for 30 years. His wife assumed it was depression. She was right that something was wrong. But depression was only part of the picture. Here is the neuroscience. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for impulse control, emotional regulation, empathy, and social behavior, is highly vulnerable to the effects of neuroinflammation and accelerated aging. When it is compromised, the result is not just memory problems, it is personality change. Research published in JAMA Psychiatry found that personality changes, specifically increased irritability, social withdrawal, and reduced empathy, frequently appear in the 5 to 8 years preceding a formal cognitive decline diagnosis and are among the most distressing early symptoms for families. This is not a character flaw. This is neurology. What to do? If people who know you well have commented on a change in your personality or behavior, take it seriously. Ask them directly. When did you first notice this? What specifically seems different? Their observations are data, and data can be acted on. Bring those observations to your doctor alongside your own. This conversation could be the most important one you have this year. One more, and I promised you from the beginning that number 5 would be the one you least expected. Warning sign number 5. Your sleep has changed and your brain is paying the price. You used to sleep through the night. Now you wake at 2 or 3 in the morning and cannot get back to sleep. Or you sleep 8 hours and wake up exhausted. Or you find yourself needing to nap in the afternoon in a way you never did before. Everyone calls this normal aging. The research says something very different. Let me tell you about Barbara. Barbara was 67, a retired pharmacist from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She had always been a solid sleeper. Then, over about 18 months, she began waking consistently between 2 and 4 in the morning, wide awake, mind active. She would lie there for an hour, sometimes 2, before drifting back off. By morning, she felt like she had not slept at all. Barbara started taking over-the-counter sleep aids. They helped her fall asleep, but the quality never felt the same. What Barbara did not know, and what most sleep doctors do not have time to explain, is that sleep is not a passive state for the brain. It is the brain's most critical maintenance window. During deep sleep, specifically slow-wave sleep, the brain activates what scientists call the glymphatic system. This is essentially your brain's overnight waste clearance system. It flushes out metabolic toxins that build up during waking hours, including amyloid beta, the protein most directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. A 2023 study published in Nature Neuroscience found that even moderate disruption to slow-wave sleep in adults over 65 significantly accelerated amyloid accumulation in the brain, not over decades, over months. And here is the part that should stop you. The relationship goes both ways. Poor sleep accelerates brain aging, and early brain aging disrupts sleep. It is a cycle, and it starts earlier than almost anyone realizes. What to do? Stop treating sleep problems as an inconvenience. Treat them as a brain health priority. Track your sleep for 30 days. Total hours, how many times you wake, how you feel in the morning. Eliminate all screens for 1 hour before bed. Keep your bedroom temperature between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit because research consistently shows this range optimizes deep sleep quality. Do not drink alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime because alcohol fragments sleep architecture even when it helps you fall asleep initially. And if these changes do not improve your sleep within 30 days, speak to your doctor about a sleep study. The conversation that appointment starts could protect years of your cognitive health. I promised you something practical, so here it is. I call this the Brain Watch Protocol. 5 questions. Write them down. Put them in your phone. Bring them to your next doctor's appointment. Question 1. In the last 3 months, have I noticed any change in my ability to remember recent events, conversations, appointments, or things I was told the same day? Question 2. Am I finding it harder to retrieve words that I know, and is this happening more often than 6 months ago? Question 3. Have I experienced moments of spatial disorientation in familiar places, and are those moments increasing in frequency? Question 4. Have the people closest to me commented on a change in my personality, mood, or behavior in the last 1 to 2 years? Question 5. Has my sleep changed significantly in the last 12 months, and do I wake feeling genuinely rested? If you answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, that is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to act, a reason to have a real conversation with your doctor, a reason to ask for a cognitive baseline assessment, a simple, non-invasive test that gives you and your doctor a picture of where your brain is today so that any changes in the future can be measured against something real. Any good doctor will welcome these questions. If your doctor dismisses them, that tells you something important about whether that doctor is the right fit for you. I want to close with this. The story I told you at the beginning, the woman who called her daughter by the wrong name, the family who laughed it off, that family's greatest regret was not that they missed the sign. People miss signs. That is human. Their greatest regret was that they had been given chances to catch it earlier. Small moments, quiet signals, and the information to recognize those signals simply was not in their hands. Now it is in yours. Think about what you want your life to look like at 75, at 80. Think about the conversations you want to still be having. the people you want to still recognize, the places you want to still find your way home from. That is what this is really about. Not a diagnosis, not a statistic. Your independence, your clarity, your ability to be fully present for the people who need you. You now have 5 warning signs that most people have never heard explained this clearly. You have the brainwash protocol, and you have the questions to take into your next appointment. That puts you ahead of the vast majority of people who will watch their brain health change without ever knowing the signs were there. If this video gave you something real, please subscribe. I make videos like this every week, honest, evidence-based, and built entirely around protecting your health in the years that matter most. And leave a comment below. Which of these 5 warning signs surprised you the most? Or are you seeing one of them right now in yourself or someone you love? I read every single comment, and your answer might be exactly what someone else needed to read today. Take care of yourselves. This is Dr. Angela Whitfield, and I will see you in the next one.